All right, welcome back to Culz Reviews. Since it's President's Day today on the 21st, we thought we would check out our second episode of Ultimate Guide to the Presidents. It's one we did last year on President's Day as well. And while we did promise to do it next time we head up to good old Rapid City and do the presidential scavenger hunt, we figured it's the right time of year to be doing something like this. So while we will get to the rest either next President's Day or when we go up to Rapid City, welcome back to our second highest Culz Reviews series so far, Ultimate Guide to the Presidents. As usual, my name is Keegan. Joining me tonight is
Matt.
Sam.
All right, so this one's a tad different as far as how many presidents are featured. The last one was the first five, but this one has six, and we'll get into why. There's a lot of short-term presidents in this one, we shall say. So we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to ask these guys what they learned while watching this. So, Matt, do you want to start off? What did you learn watching this episode?
Well, as American people, we haven't changed much. I mean, there was a lot of rioting back then and crashing of the government buildings, like what happened on, that infamous day of January 6th, 2021. So it's been a repeat. We haven't changed much. So
Agreed. There is definitely a lot of callbacks, we'll say, to what we've seen in recent times as far as like lots of mudslinging. Obviously, the White House gets trashed once again in this episode, something that happened in the last episode quite often. And obviously, it did happen, unfortunately, quite recently once again. Sam, anything you want to say that you learned throughout this watch?
How some of the traditions nowadays was made by like multiple presidents back in the day. And then we had moments of like we were getting better, but then I think we're going backwards now, like what you guys were saying.
Yeah, and time definitely repeats itself, it seems like, especially within these first two episodes, we see kind of this progress and kind of goes back and then goes a little bit forward and then back. I will say, watching this when we watched it, the big thing for me is like the beginning of this, I would say half of this episode is mainly John Quincy Adams versus Andrew Jackson and kind of like that turning me versus him, us versus them type of mentality. And then the last half of it is just like it goes so fast as far as the presidents. Obviously, because we have our first death of a president in the White House with William Henry Harrison, who famously and unfortunately for himself caught what is now termed as pneumonia because he had a ridiculously long, inauguration speech and he was out in the weather and caught the sickness. But yeah, it's interesting to see like a lot of modern day things so far back. Like, while we have progressed a ton, we really haven't. And now, for those of you who don't know who's going to be featured in this episode, as far as the next six presidents, we have John Quincy Adams and then Andrew Jackson. And then we have Martin Van Buren. We have William Henry Harrison, like I said earlier, died, I think it was 90 days after his inauguration. It's pretty quickly. And then we have John Tyler, who was the first president or first vice president to become president and really set that stage for future, events as far as when vice presidents take over. And then we finish with James K. Polk, who might be the most interesting one because you don't hear about him a lot, but he actually did quite a bit in his only one term. So speaking of most interesting or the people you found the most information on with this episode, which president really did you guys take away from this episode learning the most about, Matt?
ooh, that's kind of a good question on that one. It's kind of hard to say, I mean, again, it was so early on, and I don't know, I mean, what I took away from it. Let me think about that one for a little bit. Go to Sam and come back to me.
All right, so Sam, which president of these six did you take the most away from? Like, did you learn the most from?
I might butcher his name, but the last one, John J.
James Polk.
James Polk. Yeah, John.
James K. Polk.
Oh, I told you I'd butcher it. James K. Polk. I learned a lot from, and how he kind of was like a not back down type of person. And after all the mess of some of the previous ones, he kind of was like pushing it out of there. And I'm kind of somebody that really can't speak because I definitely had a concussion, so I don't really remember most of these presidents, but I don't think I ever heard of him. And so like hearing that he did a lot was actually pretty interesting. But this is all kind of relearning knowledge for me at this point. So I'm not the best one to really say that I haven't heard of him before, but it was fascinating to hear what he did with only just like one term, and then was just like, yeah, no, I'm done.
Yeah, I will say for me as well, I would have to go with James K. Polk as well. Obviously, a lot of these other ones have become famous or infamous for other reasons. Obviously, John Quincy Adams becoming like the first presidential family. And then Andrew Jackson just has some really crazy stories. So I think those have spread so much, everyone's heard about him at this point. And then obviously William Henry Harrison. Everyone knows he's the first one that died. But James K. Polk is someone that does kind of get left behind in history and doesn't get as much press, but he actually did a lot. He didn't back down. You know, they obviously threw slander on him right away. Who is this guy? And then he came in and I think kind of proved a lot of them wrong as far as how much he got done in one term, and he was okay with it. He didn't really want the office, and they were like, "Hey, take it for one term," and he took it. I don't know, Matt.
Well, I'm gonna have to go with probably one of the most disliked ones in that group, Martin Van Buren. You know, interesting facts about him. You know, just how he's disliked, but yet he almost came away with winning a second election, trying to take advantage of the situation going on at the time. Just you got to learn your history not to have it relive. So, I mean, I think that one stood out to me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. He definitely inherited a bad situation as well. Obviously, Andrew Jackson, outside of the many things he did, he decided he was going to war with the federal banks and kind of bankrupted America. So he had to take over for that. So he definitely wasn't in the best starting position, but yeah, he definitely had some other things going on. So what else? Anything else you guys want to add to this one?
Well, I guess just like we know, even today, not everyone's going to be happy. I don't think we will ever find the common ground where 100% of us are happy with who's running our government. So I mean, it's hard to say we're going to ever have a perfect president, but we can come close, I think.
Sam, what about you?
Kind of how so little the parties actually mattered back then than it does nowadays. Like it wasn't like a two-party type of thing. There was like people going in there with no parties doing incredible things, and like how nowadays it's just like it's either one or the other party. There's no kind of change in it. It's like strictly you're either way over here or you're over there. There's no like, yeah, there's no like change to it. Like some of the presidents had no parties and kind of created their own essentially, or just had a vision, whereas now it's like very party based.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that in the John Quincy Adams versus Andrew Jackson one, where if it had just been the two, Andrew Jackson probably would have won, but because there was so many others, it really swayed the whole election because people were split between so many different people, which we definitely don't have today. I mean, I understand that. We definitely see, I mean, people even say now, if you vote for anyone else outside the two, it's a waste of vote. But you got to get out and just vote for whoever you think's going to be the best. Vote based off policy and less off of party.
Well, the next best one, not necessarily off of any of their political statements or views, but the next best what we need is the one that can bring us together and unite the country again will be the best fit for the job. Honestly, at this point, don't care what their stances are, but we need to reunite us as a nation so we can stand tall once again and not fall. Because the more we're dividing right now, you're seeing it everywhere. It's just we don't get along, whether it's race, whether it's religion, whether it's you're a law enforcement officer. It's just there's so much hatred going on right now.
Well, and it's even simpler things than what you're talking about. We can look at stuff on our channel. I mean, we even had someone comment on our Patterson Gimlin one, and I respectively disagreed with them. I said, hey, I understand why you think it's that way. This is what I think, but it's okay. And he said, thank you so much for, being cordial about this. We definitely don't see this a lot. And so it's definitely time. Let's work together. We're going to get further working together than working apart from each other.
True.
All right. So we got to our recommendation and rating section. Matt, do you want to start? What do you give this one?
Well, again, it's about history, and they don't really alter what has happened, and they're telling you the best of it. So it's a 9. I enjoy it. I enjoy history a little bit now. Wasn't my favorite subject, but I'm definitely growing into it, and this so far has been a very good series. So I'd give it 9 out of 10 and would recommend it.
Sam, what about you?
Yeah, I'll give it a 9 too. I'm definitely not somebody that's big on politics and that, but like history is good to learn so that you could prevent it from repeating, even though that we continuously fail to do so. But it is still good to learn it and understand it, and then at least try to make it stop repeating, or like find a way to break the cycle more than anything else. See, like, because as you can see, it repeats itself like almost in a pattern, almost, if you really look into it. And it's just how you trying to figure out a way of breaking that cycle at those patterns and then see if it chain reactions from there. But doing that so will be either for better or worse, but sometimes that's kind of needed.
Yeah, and I'd probably give this like an 8.5 to 8.8 range. I definitely liked it, and I almost think I like it more than the first episode for the fact that a lot of people know the first 5 presidents, or at least the majority of the first 5, because they're so big in the revolution, they're on a lot of the money. And then you get to this section, and there's a lot of these I don't think a lot of people will know. So I definitely would recommend it. And I give it an 8.5 to 8.8 out of 10. All right, so that's our rating recommendation. You heard it here first, or I'm sure we're not the first people to review this series because it's come out quite a while ago. Obviously, it only goes up to Barack Obama. So maybe at some point they'll make an updated one. But if you guys enjoyed this one and want to see our other one, a link's going to jump up right about now to see episode 1 because it has been a while. And like I said, at some point we're going to get back up to Rapid City, do the presidential statue scavenger hunt because they have their presidential statue on a bunch of different corners kind of hidden throughout the city. And we kind of did that a little bit. So if you want to see our earlier attempt at that video, click the link above right now. But as always, if you guys enjoy these videos and want to see more, click that link to your left for more Culz Reviews. If you want to see more about us doing awesome things here at Culz Paranormal, click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a subscribe.
And switch that notification bell from personalized to all if you want to be notified on all of our videos.
And let us know, which president did you learn most about from episode 2?